So, I had my first ASD assessment today. And I just wanted to record how it was and how I felt, how I feel now. Although it's apparent that I don't really understand my feelings. That was one of the things that I've learned today. So, I was so anxious about it, like last night, that I ended up picking loads of skin off my fingers. They're all really sore today. And this morning I just felt so anxious I couldn't get out of bed for like, I don't know, hour, 2 hours, something like that. I was just curled up feeling really anxious, with butterflies, like feeling sick, just like anticipation and not knowing. And I felt like I was like I was going to an exam that I hadn't studied for. And I just didn't know what to expect. So I messaged a couple of my colleagues who are like ASD experts, and one of them gave me a call after a while when I was just getting off the bus, when I was on there, once I'd actually managed to get up and make myself something to eat and get dressed and have a shower and stuff. So yeah, she gave me a quick call, and that helped calm me down a little bit, which was helpful. Yeah, so then I went in and I was early, because of course I was early, I usually am. But the lady actually saw me early, which was nice. Sorry. So yeah, then she took me up to the room, and she said that this appointment was just to do the ADOS-2 test, and it was quite informal, with like some questions and some tasks. And I was like bricking it about doing the tasks because I hate that sort of thing. I'm like kind of games phobic, and like things like icebreakers and stuff at work like make me feel really panicky. So I was not keen on the idea of doing tasks, especially tasks that I didn't know what they were going to be. So yeah, so I did, like, I don't want to like give away what the tasks are, because I feel like it was probably really helpful that I didn't know what they were, even though I fucking hated it. But yeah, there was like some that were like puzzle based, and then there was something about stories. There were 2 different things about stories, one of which I just really struggled to do. Well, both of them I struggled to do, but the one of them in particular was like about objects and stories, and I sort of froze and couldn't do it until she said, "Oh, okay, well, if you like, you don't have to use all of the items if you can't do it, that's fine." And then I managed to come up with something really shit. Yeah, I could not put those back in the bag quickly enough at the end of that. So, and then there was like questions about emotions and how different emotions felt and what things made me feel certain emotions. And like through work and my colleagues recently, I've heard about alexithymia or alexithymia, I don't know how it's said. And one of my colleagues, when I mentioned it to her, she was like, "Yeah, it sounds like you've got that, because from some of the stuff you've said to me, like, you don't always know how you feel." Like I'll cling on to things like labels that are easy to describe how I feel, like anxious or depressed. So when this lady started asking me about those specific things and what made me feel like that, or what made me angry or whatever, and how that felt, I felt like a thesaurus, because all I had was like sometimes a couple of terms that meant the same sort of thing, but I'm not sure that's what she was getting at, and some of them I just didn't have a bloody clue what to say. And yeah, I think I struggled to answer her questions and to do the tasks more than I thought I would, because I think I went in there like, I'm not sure whether I definitely have a lot of autistic traits, and the more I find out, the more I notice in myself. But I went in there and I was like, well, either they're gonna basically laugh me out of the place and not understand why I'm there, because I'll just do normally on these things, and like, because I've had other like mental health assessments for different things before, where I've basically been discharged on the basis that I look and present as fine when I really haven't been. Like, I put on a front without meaning to, and I almost can't help but do it. So I was like, well, that might happen, or I might literally just be a massive fraud and have like some traits but be like, I don't know why you try to claim a label. It's not like this is something I've sought out either. Like, it was literally my colleagues who were like, asked me about whether I'd ever been assessed. I don't know. So yeah, I'm basically scared of both outcomes. I'm scared of them being like, no, don't be stupid, you're not autistic. And I'm also scared of them being like, oh, no, you are. And I keep on thinking and reading and remembering things that make me think, shit, maybe I am. I don't remember a lot of stuff from my childhood, so I feel like then the next stage, if I get a next stage, it's going to be really difficult. So they said they'll get back in touch with me in 4 to 6 weeks and offer me a appointment with a doctor if it's like, fringes annoy me, if it's deemed necessary, from like the questionnaires that I did and the assessment that I had today. So I just have to wait to hear, I guess. Yeah, so that's going to be difficult, and like, I think they ideally want to talk to one of my parents, and I don't want them to, for a couple of reasons. But she said it might be useful for me to like find old school reports and things like that. I think they'll probably just all say she's very able but she didn't have any self-confidence. That's pretty much what I heard the whole time I was at school. Don't know that it'll give them much more insight than that. This is the problem, like, I can see a lot of traits now, but I have no idea. Like, I feel like I was quite normal as a child. I don't know how much of this was evident back then, which makes me think, well, maybe I'm like, you have to have had it your whole life, that's the whole point. So that makes me doubt it. But there are so many things that, like, even things that I didn't know were linked to autism, that now I think about. Like so when I came home this evening, this afternoon after the appointment, I literally just laid on the sofa under a duvet, like shivering on and off, and like unable to move, or I don't think I'd have been able to communicate more than like a few words, vaguely watching TV but not really concentrating on it, like for somewhere between like 2 and 3 hours. And then I sort of started to come out of that state. And that's something that's happened to me before, like particularly like on Mondays at work, really, really busy. And And at the end of the day, I often find myself saying things like, I just can no longer form a coherent sentence, and like I'm not able to talk to people anymore. And like I start feeling a little bit like dissociated and separate from stuff, like everything's just got too much and I've taken too much. And there have been other times like where I've been unable to talk, like in extreme situations. So like sometimes if I am like in crisis with my mental health, and I've ended up in doctor's appointments or in A&E, and I've not been able to like physically speak, and that happens. That's happened in relationships as well. Like whenever there's been some kind of conflict, I like physically clam up and freeze and can't speak, and I can text normally, but I can't like speak, and like all that sort of thing has happened for years, like without me having ever thought about connecting it to autism. And I keep remembering stuff, like little things here and there. So like after I started to come out of that state I was in earlier, I realised, because I've been watching quite a few videos on YouTube and reading a few things, I realised that there's such thing as an autistic shutdown. And like I watched a couple of videos on this evening and was like, that might be what that was. Like I could physically move, but it felt like a lot of effort would have had been put into it. I could physically speak, but again it would have been really hard and required a lot of concentration. Yeah, so the whole thing was just rather overwhelming. The lady was really nice, which was helpful because I was worried that she might be scary and that the whole thing was going to be terrifying. And some of it was really scary and stressful, but it was quite quick, and she didn't make me feel silly when I couldn't do things or couldn't answer things. And yeah, I didn't realise initially how drained it made me. I like came out and I was fine, and went off to get myself a coffee, and then I was stood in the coffee shop and I was like, I can't, I need to go home. And then I went home and just laid there for like 2 or 3 hours. So I've just sort of come out of that, and now it's like nearly bedtime. But yeah, I've spent most of the evening like laying in a darkened room. Did manage to make myself a simple dinner, which I really needed to eat, so that probably has helped. Yeah, but I just wanted to log this really. Not really sure what else there is to say. But yeah, I have learned things that I struggle with that I didn't even realise that I struggled with, and I'm making links to things that I'd never associated with autism. So maybe it's a thing after all. And I guess there's a reason that the people I work with saw signs. Anyway, maybe I'll remember to do another video when I receive a letter or whatever for the possible next one, if they don't think that I'm a total fraud. So yeah, over and out, I guess.